This is awesome.
And somewhere in here, I figure out what's good. Yeah, figure out what to put it.
Okay, well, we're up.
Okay. Bread. How is he supposed to speak?
Someone's going to have to hold a mic. Who wants to talk?
If you want a job or
Oh, what?
job or maybe have you used before it's still available? Or you like
We can try this. Jeff is on.
I mean, if I can get Cage coming back and we can fix it, then we can maybe switch over in the middle, but I can stuck with it going back.
Okay. All right, where's the mayor?
What do I need to do? Am I videoing just at the dais, or do I need to turn towards the comments?
No, we can do both.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go back over there. What?
Well, here, right?
You can present,
You'll be able to present
here,
in the
but they
room.
won't see it on.
But yeah, I guess, when that happens, you can go over or maybe up like that.
Yeah. Which you'll have to do probably, because I shoot.
Well,
Are there any more presentations, Ryan?
I wonder. I mean, it's probably better to have you on the panel. Because we can have any trained monkey do it.
Do it.
Well, it kind of accelerated the process.
All right, you all return to your seats. Start going again.
You guys can trade over. Jeff's on.
All right. You're ready to start. All right, so you're all witnesses. We did not plan this. But what happened was the live feed stopped working. And so the live feed stopped working, and we started recording it. And that recording will be released tomorrow. So we attempted to bring the live feed back, but no luck. I'm not sure why exactly, but it didn't work. So we're recording it. We've got Councilman Jeff Lanson is on a notebook over here, so he can hear everything and see everything for the vote later. So with all that in mind, we'll go back to, if you'd like to just hop up and clarify what you want to clarify, and we'll be back to the public
I'd
comment.
like to clarify something. During the break, I realized that I found out that the cul-de-sac pavement has to be 94 feet. Some of the older code allows 75 feet, so it's a little bit harder to fit that in. There's 3 homes and a developer, so we can work with them, they can provide some information, but it's not as simple as it probably led to the roof.
How about on the diagonal?
Yeah, those are useful, but I would suggest that the developers engineer maybe come back with some cul-de-sac options, but there's a lot to go into their property.
Okay, is it and I'd be interested to hear more, but from what I heard, that was a fairly high priority for the neighborhood. So, okay, thank you. And I think we very clearly understand the number one choice on this is just to not do it. I'd be interested to hear from some of you, if this is to happen, potentially, what would be some of the things like blocking off that street that would be things that you care about and want. So let's continue with public comments.
Okay, thanks. I live on 400 East. What's your name? Oh, sorry, my name is Tammy Rodriguez. Levitt, from McDonald's, who I grew up in his neighborhood. So there is a concern in our neighborhood as it stands, because the traffic on State Street backs up so egregiously during high traffic times. Cars circumvent that by coming through my neighborhood. And they're not happy about having to do so. They're not happy about having to not get to where they want, when they want. So they come down my street like nobody's business. It's awful, and it's both directions. They try to avoid State Street by coming into our neighborhood. That's as it is, without 650 plus additional cars trying to get to their home, which would be right there. And I guarantee you, traffic on State Street is going to be backed up to the point where they can't access 900 South. So how are they going to get there? They're going to come through my neighborhood, our neighborhood. So, parking is another issue. If 2.09 stalls per unit is what they have to park in within their structure, are they going to guarantee tenants that rent from them have no friends, family, or visitors? Because at 2 cars per unit for a 3-bedroom or a 2-bedroom, it's not enough parking for their residents. So they either restrict the number of cars that residents are allowed to own or park there, or they've got to say, no friends, no family, because those cars will come into our neighborhood. And on 900 South, crap. Anyway, okay, so Mayor, I saw your ad online and I watched it with my children, where you said, since our tenure began, no new high-density housing units have been built, except for this one. This directly impacts my home, my family, my neighborhood. I understand that it's so easy when you're not a party to where you are building to make decisions for that neighborhood that you really don't have any idea what's going on or how it will impact because you're not in the situation. My children continually ask me to move out of my home of the last 24 years to anywhere but Orem. As our neighborhood, unfortunately, has been methodically and systematically swallowed by high-density housing and is rapidly on the decline. If this single mom could afford it, I'd be gone. And it is sad to me that throughout this whole situation, my sense from Orange City was, well, if you're squeezed out, sorry. We don't value your home and your neighborhood. We don't value your city. Oh, or your pit. Anyway, so my suggestion is to put a gate. We've discussed with Logan, is it Logan?
Yes.
The possibility of that 400 access point. be gated with a key card. You have to get the key card to move in or out, and then the trash could access it there. Also, closing off 9th at 400 would do a great service because it would at least discourage those 600 people from coming through my neighborhood and endangering the children that really do want to play in front of their home without fear of being squished. Thanks.
And just to those points, as far as the traffic going down there that just is trying to shortcut through, the city could do things about that, right? As far as irrespective of this development, because that's been an issue for quite a while. Cars come racing around, they're trying to go to the mall, they're trying to go to different places, and they buzz into that area and they drive like crazy. I heard about that before this.
So in other words, yes, we could look at traffic calming and traffic diverting measures, just even in general. Is that what you're asking?
That's what I'm asking. Okay. So
I made note.
okay, so that's one thing. I do want to get to a resolution on this idea if we're talking a gate, if we're talking whatever. Because I think to the extent that we can keep traffic out of the neighborhood, that's a huge win for the neighborhood. And as far as cars parking, do you have any, for the developer, do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, I've seen different apartment complex, the access, whatever, in those areas owned by UBU, and the cars don't fit, and so they go into the neighborhoods. Now, we're proposing much more parking in this than what they got over there. But as far as, do you have any thoughts on guest passes, visitor passes, how to, the goal is to make, if you go in, is to make you independent and the neighborhood stays independent, you guys stay independent. But how do you deal with that parking?
I think it's important to remember that, I don't remember the exact unit mix, but a number of the units will be 1 bedroom. And so those obviously require.
The numbers are on the slide if you want to bring up the slide.
So we've developed other apartment projects, and traditionally in most places, if you have 1.75 parking stalls per unit, that is sufficient. So just based on our experience, the 2.09, I think it was. So you've got 71 studios and 139 one-bedrooms. So in our experience,
And how many 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms?
the 2 bedrooms is 89 and the 3 bedrooms is 12. So in our experience, the 2.09 stalls is more than enough to ensure that everyone will have a place to park. And we're committed to doing all we can to make sure that's the case.
Is that for residents or is that for visitors?
Yeah, there's visitor parking as well.
Is that contained within the 650 stalls?
Yes, that's contained within the 650 stalls. But I think it's important to note that the settlement agreement, that's a minimum number of parking stalls. And I think I can confidently say that we will provide more than the 650 stalls. That's the minimum number that we have to meet.
Okay. And so would there be something that you would basically, I mean, because this may not be recorded, would you be willing to say, who knows what happens in the future, and who knows what happens in the future. But if there became a problem with cars spilling out into the neighborhood, that Orem City could regulate that and basically kind of
100%.
force everything back into the.
No question. Yeah, we need to be good neighbor.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you. So we got those issues somewhere written down. The last guy brought up.
Yes, so I've made a note here about the gated key card, and she also mentioned that we want to make sure, and again, review the off of 900 South diverting traffic before it gets to 400 East from that.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, ma'am, would you like to go ahead?
My name's Heather Dancliffe. I live right on 400 East as well. I have 3 kids under the age of 11.
just within that block, there are 50 kids that live there. Just within 400 east, 450, and then 850 south. So just within there are 50 kids that live there full time. My kids don't have a park in their neighborhood to go play, so they have to cross 800, which is already so busy. You have to cross the 800 south to go to the Sierra to play. If you guys put 600 units across from the kids, that's 600 people that are, I don't know. I can't just allow my kids to go and freely go to the Sierra and play. So you're taking away a lot of my kids' possibilities of playing. And I know that this isn't addressed to you guys, but the attorney brought up, if we don't let this pass today, then the lawsuit will happen and much worse could happen. And it goes back to 7 levels. In my mind, what's the difference? You have 7 levels, you have 4 levels. It's the exact same. You're taking away the safety of our neighborhood, and it takes away the joy of our neighborhood. It's gone. Whether you block off those roads or not, my kids walk on 400. There's bus stops. It doesn't matter if there's 7 levels or there's 4 levels. It's the exact same. So you fight it or you don't. So.
Hi, my name's Ashley McCrary. I also live in the neighborhood on 450 East. While I understand that growth and development are inevitable, the manner in which this potential development was planned and presented was done in a way that Orem City should be appalled by. I know as a resident of this neighborhood, I sure am. Why would we want to agree to this settlement and continue to do business with a developer who has taken the low road and the shortcut in many aspects? We could get into that, but we don't have time today. Behind closed doors with previous councils, all of the things. Why are we wanting to stay in business with this developer? Let's see, one second. At a previous meeting, at the Planning Commission meeting, the developer's representative addressed a definition of adjacent. They said that initially a neighborhood meeting was not needed because there was no adjacent residential properties that it affected. I think their definition is wrong, and according to several websites on the internet, when in reference to real estate, adjacent means the land, lot, or property adjoining the property in question along a lot line or separated only by an alley, easement, or street. Therefore, this development is adjacent to our neighborhood. And I feel like there's a lot of trying to cut through loopholes and do the things, and that just means shady business to me. And then why would we want to continue to do business with the shadiness? There was also a statement that we shouldn't be surprised by the property being converted into commercial property. We weren't gonna be surprised by that. Were we expecting maybe a restaurant, maybe a bank, maybe some retail spots? What we were surprised by was the influx of the residential amount that is going to negatively impact our neighborhood to the nth degree. And that has all been discussed today. I also want to say in the settlement agreement, it states, I just screenshot it, but it states, agreement and the project-specific development standards is consistent with and promotes the health, safety, and welfare of the community. None of this proposed promotes the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The safety of our neighborhood is in jeopardy. The safety of my 2 children, the 50 other kids who live within walking distance of this. I also have a video I took of 900 South at 2:15 p.m., not peak hours, not peak rush time, and you literally cannot drive without it being a one-way street. There are so many cars parked on there at 2:15 PM on a Friday. So I like to say, I mean, I have the video right here if we want to watch it, but it is a major problem that is not gonna be fixed by a dead-end street. It's not gonna be fixed by that.
Mayor and council, thank you so much for hearing our heartfelt pleas. My name is Chad Brown. I live on the corner of 900 South and 500 East with my wife and my 3 kids. My 10-year-old little boy catches the bus on 900 South, just, I don't know, probably 50 yards south of this complex. My 14-year-old daughter, they're getting older and older. My 14-year-old daughter walks to the Sarah Theater once a week. She works at the Snow Shack in the parking lot of Zerkers. We can trust that our children can wander through our neighborhood and be safe. And that's something that we're unwilling to give up. I have a mentor who said this to me. He said, do you know who the most dangerous person at the table is? The person who has nothing to lose. In this situation, our neighborhood, our city, has nothing to lose. Whether it's 4 stories or 7 stories with a difference of 30 units, who cares? Now, you have to make a choice. Are you going to make a courageous move? Are you going to stand for the people? Or are you going to protect the assets? Our fate, our neighborhood's fate, is in your hands. You decide the legacy of this neighborhood. My mentor also tells me, short-term pain equals long-term gain. But the opposite is true, that short-term gain equals long-term pain. I'll let you decide which is which.
Since one of the arguments against going through with the lawsuit is that we might end up with the original plan, I would like for everybody to see what the original plan is, if we can bring that up. May we do that?
Yeah, we're trying to do it right now.
I'd like everybody to see what the threat is. Okay, just a few things to point out. Number 1, lots of open space. All there is a circle of apartments. Number 2, in this plan, we get what the zoning was at the time. We get art and we get commercial. We get rid of the closed parking lot, which now, if we go with that, has all the amenities, the swimming pool, and all that good stuff on the roof. Sure, it's shorter, it's not as tall. what does that cost us when it's already a skyscraper? The sun's going to go down in the neighborhood a few minutes later. Excuse me. They have given up nothing in the proposed settlement agreement. They've given up only that.
Recording in progress.
Which might have been some benefit to the neighborhood, that is, some shopping. We have been cut off from shopping in the mall as far as walking to it. We cannot walk to the mall. I see no threat to getting the original. It's better for us than what they're proposing. All they have given up is the part they didn't want to build in the first place, the commercial.
My name's Debbie Lamb. I have lived in this neighborhood for over 30 years, born and raised, moved for a little bit, and brought my family back because of the love that I had for this neighborhood. When I was little, I would go to Medical and buy ice cream and milk. When I was about the same age, I would go to where Zerkers is and play in the park that was there, known as Spencer Elementary. Those things are all gone. My kids can't enjoy those things that I enjoyed. I would ride my bike in the dirt hills of Costco, or go sledding during the winter over there as well. Ride my bike through the neighborhood with no worries of traffic. I have 6 children, none of which can do that safely without their mother being terrified that something's going to happen. The traffic that we have right now is horrible. I'm on 500 East and watch it every day as they come through, hoping to get to the mall or Costco, and hitting a dead end and speeding down 500 East to get where they need to go. I watched a girl turn on 500 East and 1070 South, caught error, took out one of the speed limit signs, and kept going. Luckily, there was not a child on that sidewalk or he would have been killed. This cannot happen. We do not need any more traffic in this neighborhood. We all have children, we all have families. Orem is Family City, USA. We need to protect that. These children need to be able to be outside, playing with friends, riding bikes, and not worried that somebody is going to fly through this neighborhood and take them out. Please consider those of us that have lived here longer than the right group has owned this property and what's important to us, and those of us that voted to put you into this position due to the promise of no more high density. Thank you.
My name is Jerry Fisher. I have not lived here as long as she has. I've lived here for 2.5 years at the corner of 9th and 550. We live on the corner of that cul-de-sac that people come and scream down and see that they can't get to Costco and then turn around, and I guess they don't scream down. Generally, they're pretty good when they come into the neighborhood and they see they can't get where they're going and they double their speed on the way out. I'm a statistician by trade, so I like to talk numbers, but for me, the neighborhood's somewhat about vision. I want to fix up my fence. I want to build a garage someday. I want to invest in my house, and I don't feel like I can right now because I don't know if our neighborhood will exist in 10 years. It's gradually heating up. I want something beautiful to be built on my buildable property. It'd be great. But I also want my 4 kids to be safe. I want to know that I can live in my neighborhood a long time. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Josue Alvarez. I've been living here for 8 years. And I just want to tell you, these are the best people I've ever been around with. This neighborhood is beautiful. I learned a lot from my neighbors. They're amazing people. And just to see this happening, I think it's like they're the ones who built this. They've been here the longest, right? That place where this place is about to be built is sacred to me. These people are amazing. The history is just amazing, and just to see that this is like, I don't know if it's approved or not, but I feel like they're being bullied. They're the ones who built this place. And I'm totally against this. I hope that you guys can have a heart and feel the love that the people in the neighborhood have for the city. And it feels to me in my heart that it's like a big bully here, right? And the heroes are being bullied. And if the heroes want this place not to be built because it's gonna bring all this negative stuff, I hear them, right? I love this city, and I've been here 8 years, and right now, you don't need this apartments in here. You don't need this at all. And we need to listen to the voices here. They're very sacred to me. And I just want to say that I know in my heart that this is wrong. Building this big apartment complex, it's not going to bring positive stuff here. And especially for schools. Schools were hit pretty hard by some changes and the closing down of schools and now adding 300 apartments or plus. Just think about what it's going to do to the parking spaces, to the transportation. It's going to be bad, so I just got to say that.
Good evening, my name is Mark Kessel. I just moved into the neighborhood a year ago, last December, in a great little neighborhood. Love your city of Orem. I moved from the state of Washington. I love Orem. I love the rec center. I love the fact that you got those family dressing rooms or whatever. Wonderful place to be. We love your parks. We love your, all the festivities. We love it here. We just love, it just chose this place to retire. I could have retired in a lot of places, chose here. And we love it here. But this seems like a major disaster. One key thing that I'd like to make sure that we understand and maybe go in more depth discussion is on the traffic study. As I look at this development, this 600 car development, there's 3 entrances in the development, 2 of which go across State Street. In other words, if you're heading southbound on State Street and you decide not to turn left at 800 South, which is the only light, you can come further south and you can turn into this complex, but you have to wait for all the northbound traffic, or you can go to 9th South, and then once again, you have to wait for all the northbound traffic. So my wife and I come home from the rec center in the morning, and I say, here, turn here at 9th South because there's no cars. If you get down a little farther, there's lots of cars, and she never does that. She always goes down to the tattoo parlor or the Burger King, whatever it is. I don't know what those streets are. But I can guarantee you that if people are there at 9th South and they can't get in because there's 3 or 4 cars and there's a lot of traffic going northbound on State Street, they're gonna go down to one of those other entrances into development, which will take them down to the tattoo parlor or down to Burger King. They can turn in there and then they're gonna have to race in our neighborhood to get back to the apartment complex. There's no way in the world you can control that. Unfortunately, there's only 3 entrances to this place, and only one of them has a light, and that light is at 8 South. And that means that people go to 8 South, they come southbound on State Street, they go to 8 South, they take a left, and that's going to back up. So the city of Orem is going to have to deal with the traffic. I'll call bogus on the traffic study. I know what the traffic study says, but I'd like to take a in-depth look at it because I think it's bogus. And the city of Orem is going to have to deal with that. People turning left on 8 South, heading southbound on State Street, and the traffic backing up at that light. So you're going to have to time that light a lot differently. Either that or people are going to go down past 8 South to 9 South, and they're going to have to wait and wait and wait. You get 3 or 4 cars piled up, they're just going to go down to one of the next entrances down further south, and they're going to turn through, which means they have to come to our neighborhood to get there up 4th east. So anyway, bottom line is I'm calling bogus on the traffic study. I'd like to take a look at that. I think you should too. That's it.
My name is Linda Sheldon. I live 3 corner to this development. A couple of months ago, I think I was out walking. I might have been in my car, I don't remember, but I saw, it's been mentioned that people will drive and try to find the mall. And there's a stop sign coming in on 900 South. They whizzed through the stop sign going over the speed limit all the way down to the wall that goes in the mall and came back way over the speed limit, and it scared me half to death. Another thing, something that people haven't brought up yet, is we've got a car dealership there on 900 South. We have people test driving cars that come in and out of our neighborhood, people that we don't know, don't always obeying the speed limit or the speed tip. They park cars on both sides of 900 South, so sometimes I can't even get through 900 South because the car's parking. As a single, I often get invited to activities at these large apartment complexes, and I don't go. There is no visitor parking anytime there is an activity at these apartment complexes because there is no parking. Sometimes there's not even adjacent parking, so I'm gonna end up with people parking in front of my house, which makes me very nervous. I've got a rental property across the street from my house with more cars than people that are supposed to be there. It makes me nervous when people are parking in front of my house that I don't know. I'm all alone, well, I should go on that part. But it makes me nervous that we're gonna have weird people parking at our church. If we can block off myself, that would be great. But yeah, I do not want weird people parking in front of my house. I don't want people whizzing through, going 90 miles an hour, so thank you.
My name is Annette Olson. I respectfully request that you vote against the settlement. I agree with all of the other things that have been said. I think it will be a problem for Orem City because the traffic is already backed up so badly on State Street and on 8th South. You add 600 more cars trying to get in and out of there, and it is going to be a much worse bottleneck than it already is. Thank you.
Ralph Olson. My history in this neighborhood goes back to the early 1960s, when my older siblings were living on the very block where I live now. I've seen a lot of Orem history since 1960, 61, and 62. And I love Orem. I've always loved Orem. I remember as a boy waking up in the morning where my sister and her husband lived, faced east, and I remember the sun coming up over the mountains. I'll never forget it. I was so impressed. I've never seen that before. I want to register my vote that I'm very against the compromise. I don't think it solves anything to compromise compared to what was proposed before. I'm sorry, actually, that the original proposal way back when for a bank and other things was, I think it was previous city council. In a way, I feel for you trying to dig your way out of a previous city council mistake in my opinion, to approve such a thing, forcing us into this kind of a compromise, no compromise, lawsuit, blah, blah, blah situation. On the way up the hill, coming into Orem, on the diagonal, there's a monument or a notice that says Orem, welcome to Orem, Family City, USA. Is that going to be the tombstone, or is that going to be a prophecy? I hope it's a prophecy. And even though it's a difficult decision to proceed with a lawsuit, send me the bill. Send me my part of the bill. I'll be happy to put my money on the lawsuit and declare unequivocally that we've had way, way too much high-density housing, and it's not family-oriented. This kind of high-density housing, 12 units that have enough bedrooms to actually have a little family, that's not Family City, USA. 2/3 of the units either have no bedroom or one bedroom. Either you pull a bed down out of the wall, or you might have one bedroom. That's enough maybe for 2 people, but not what I would call a family. Let's get our values straight and correct the mistakes as best we can that have been made in the past. Move forward the best we can, but this compromise is not the way to do it.
I know I came in with my little petty concerns at the start of the meeting, but in the last 4 hours that I've been here, you know, it's fun for me to listen to these concerns, and I haven't had a chance to go to the court building and change my name, so I'm still Mike Christensen, but, and I've lived here in Orem for 20 years, literally, up there. I don't live in that neighborhood, but I've lived in low-density condos housing up by the Macy's grocery store. McDonald's knows where I live, I think. And listening to this, the neighbors back there have, at first I kind of felt sort of neutral, but now I'm starting to kind of get the point. And this guy who brought up the Pottersville from It's a Wonderful Life, I love that movie too. And I don't want to see this become like a Pottersville. And if I had, I don't know how feasible this would be, but I don't know like what our tax monies would allow, but if we had the ability to put our taxes towards buying that property from these guys, back, turning it into another park, because that lady was talking about they have a park over there. It would be nice to see if we could kind of maybe get some fencing up and things and grass and a playground and whatever they kind of need over there. Can our taxes afford that? So that's kind of a thought that I have. But even though I don't even have kids myself yet. So think about that too. And I guess that's it.
Good evening. My name is Bruce Palmer. We own one of the two properties across the street or northeast from this proposed development. Someone mentioned earlier in a prior part of the council not being able to see the sunset again. That would be us. We would have the afternoon sun. There are concerns. But I've heard nothing tonight about solutions except the last speaker, possibly. What would be the alternative? To buy them out? Can I afford that? No. Is the zoning gonna like that? No. Is the zoning probable to be put into a park? Not likely. If the Orem has deep pockets, those are all possibilities. I have one proposal that may be considered. To check with the city, and it is zoned for medical. If the rights want to put 2 floors of medical, all of us have doctors. I find it much more agreeable if we could walk across the street to our doctor if we have to go where we go now. There would be that much change in the blueprint. They'd be able to run oxygen lines or other things to make it work. But that would be more agreeable if they're willing to do something besides just suck it in. I don't know what the options are. If the lawsuit goes forward, I don't see any winning for the neighborhood either. If the city were to win, they still have the rights. There's going to be a settlement somewhere. I can't afford that. I don't want my taxes to go up. But I do want a good neighborhood. My roots go back there past 1947. I've lived there as a child and grew up. My wife and I owned a place right south. And when the city wanted to enlarge the traffic for Costco, they came to us and said, guess what? We're buying your home. They gave us 10% of what their appraisal was. We're trying to be good citizens. If we already moved out of that home, we complied. And we put the money towards this home, which we've had. After the last tenant, we spent thousands of dollars on upgrading this home, with the hope that one day we could move back into it, back into the place we love. I want you to know that I love Orem City. I always have. I think I always will. But I want you to consider this. If you didn't make that kind of change, if you name it the right medical art community, whatever they wanted to do, I hope you would consider it.
May I have 1 minute?
Okay.
For the minute, I lost it up there.
We need to bring this to a close.
I just want to thank the.
So I'll go ahead and go, but then, yeah, we need to move forward, so go ahead.
I just want to thank the city council for what you have accomplished in the last few years. I appreciate it greatly. You've turned things around. You need to keep it there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, I think we'll go and close the public comment, and we appreciate all your comments and thoughts. We'll turn it back to the council. Is there anybody who wants to go first?
I'm not raising my hand, but I do have a question. Is it Spencer right? So, quite a few of the citizens spoke about it may be a different project. And I know you're well into this project quite a bit, but is that something that you might be willing to look at, or?
A different project?
Maybe a medical, I don't know. I know you're well into this over 2 or 3 years, but, I don't know, it was a good question by the citizens.
Yeah, it's a reasonable question. I think the answer is no, not at this time.
Okay, so, is Jeff still there?
Yeah, he's on.
Okay.
No, he's on.
Nobody wants to talk. Nobody likes this. Maybe I'll just throw out some things just to start the conversation with the council. Okay. So I fully empathize with the neighbors here tonight. I mean, I really do. I mean, the reason I ran for mayor 2.5 years ago was because I was sick of all the high density. And no matter what we were told, it just kept coming and coming and coming. And, but I feel like I'm up here with like one hand behind my back tonight because I can't tell you the full story of what's going on here. There's more of the story. At some point we can tell you the rest of the story, but right now we can't. We've been in meetings with attorneys at least, I don't know, 4 or 5 times over the last couple of years. And our attorneys have advised us that from a risk standpoint, a significant risk standpoint, we're much better off to settle this. Now, we don't want to. It makes us sick. But that's what we're being advised legally. And where we are tonight, I mean, to put it straight where the blame lies, is because of previous city leadership. From 2012 through 2021, city leadership approved 3,336 apartments. They regularly promised to slow the growth of the apartments, but they never did. August 9th, 2021, I'm sure that's the date you remember, this all came to a head in the city council meeting when the council adopted a moratorium against future high density until the city could put in place a new plan regarding high density. And that came on the heels of so many citizens being so sick of just being the steamroller that kept adding high density. And I would encourage you, to get a context of what we're dealing with tonight. I'd encourage you to go back and watch that council meeting during the right development portion, and you'll understand why we're in this situation tonight. Particularly, you'll watch the voting section in that August 9th meeting. Because kind of what's going on here is, like I said, I fully understand where you're coming from. I can fully empathize with it. But you've only got part of the story because you're basically making the arguments that were made 2.5 years ago. When this all started, it's the same arguments, and I completely agree with them. But now we're in a completely different spot because we're in a legal battle. Like I said, it's gone on ever since then. As you well know, upon taking the city, the new city council adopted a plan to stop the 10,000 apartments plan for State Street in the State Street master plan. This particular apartment project was one that got kind of in as that was all happening. And like I said before, our current city council has not approved any high-density apartments in the last 2 years. Any high-density apartments you see being built in the last couple of years are the result of agreements made by the previous mayor and city council. So, like I say, my personal preference would be to not move the project forward. I mean, that's how I'm wired, and that's what I completely believe. But we're just not making that decision in a vacuum. We've got to look at, and different people have different opinions on this, but we have to look at the total liability to the city in the context of making this decision. So where we're at right now is we have to choose between basically two bad options. And I believe it's my responsibility as the city of Orem to take the option that minimizes the risk to our taxpayers and citizens as well as you folks. And on that premise, just like I have never done any high density, and I don't accept this high density either because I had nothing to do with it. It's just like dropped in our laps. But just like I haven't done any high density, I haven't done any taxes. There have been no new taxes to Orem since this group got in. So our two options, option one, we refuse the settlement and the outcome's unknown. And that's where the legal risk comes in. And then you go into, if we win the continuing lawsuit and the development stopped, they still own the property and we still have to go down a different path with them. If we lose, and as far as us winning the lawsuit, we have to look from a practical standpoint, you know, what are the probabilities in us winning versus us losing? We have to look at that. But if we do lose, then the city will pay the damages from that decision and the development goes in anyway. So we basically lose twice. We lose the lawsuit and we lose the control of the size, impact, and look at the project. Now, option two, we accept the settlement agreement and the outcome is known. The building height goes from 78 and 7 stories to 52 feet and 4 stories. And we don't impose any unknown additional costs on our citizens and taxpayers. So like I say, I feel like we're kind of fighting two different arguments. It was black and white, and we're sitting here 2 years ago, and this was not requested. It would have never got approved with the current city council. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Everybody's gonna have their own opinion. It really comes down to a risk reward, how much risk we're willing to put the city through in order to not accept the settlement. It's legal risk. So anyway, with that, feel free to say whatever you think. And let me say two more things. I would encourage the developer to take a hard thought about this whole thing. I think you've heard the citizens, you've heard the impositions that will be in their lives. You've heard how they lived here and that it's complicated things. But from, you know, just dig deep and think, is that what you want your legacy to be? Or is there something else that you could do? Or do we figure out, you know, how do we have the least possible impact on the neighborhood? So I live over by Mountain View High School. Right after we built our house over there, we were informed that we were going to put a 500-unit apartment complex in there. That became a battle, and the city basically granted the family the right to build that gigantic apartment complex. We went back with that group, and I understand your world completely. Not completely, but the development side. But when we did that, they got that approved. We sat down with them, we went through, and it didn't make sense to do the gigantic apartment project they were proposing. And so they backpedaled, and that's where Target is now. So they put in Target, that Target went up, and basically the back of the building is just a concrete wall, but there's, I don't know, 50, 60 feet of landscaping all in there. So we don't even know the Target's there. So anyway, there's options, there's things to think about. So you completely have my empathy. I'm in a very difficult situation, but yeah, why don't we start with,
I don't know. However you want to do it.
yeah, we can start with Jeff. Jeff?
Hi, Mayor, I think you expressed very well my feelings and my concerns. And the only thing that I would add to what you said is that perhaps, going forward, depending on where this goes, if it is approved, if there are some things that the city can do as far as red curbing, sidewalks, and things like that, signage. I know that we talked about that a little bit before, but some things that we can do to mitigate the traffic going through those neighborhoods and to calm that situation and that concern. But I think you expressed very well, Mayor, my thoughts and my concerns this evening.
Thank you. Tom?
Thank you, Mayor. As maybe the swing vote 2 years ago, one of 4 people who voted for the moratorium, we thought we were solving all problems. And I think you echoed the concerns that this had gotten far enough along that we're not in love with it, but we understand it. So I would echo what you said there. Thank you.
Jerry?
I'm not pausing because I don't know what to say. I'm pausing because I'm so darn angry that I'm trying to keep my composure. To me, it's about quality of life, and it's about being respectful to the citizens in the city. And it's not about caving into a high-density developer. So, Mr. Wright, I feel sorry for your situation. I feel sorry for my understanding that at one time you wanted to do commercial, and the current city council didn't support that. Shame on them. I've got all sorts of random thoughts. Heather, I represent you and your 3 kids. Is that Heather right there? I represent Chad Brown and your 3 children. I represent the 50 children that live in that area. I represent Debbie Lamb and her 6 children. I have an 8, it's either 6 or 8, I couldn't read my writing. Anyway, I also grew up playing in the Sierra. I scraped the gum off the floor of the Sierra, so I understand walking down, because I lived out by Orem High School, and walk down 4th East. I don't know what I'd say to you when someone says, don't worry about it, but you'll never see Timpanogos again, so probably take a picture of it and put it in your house, because after this is built, you won't be able to see Timpanogos. I don't know what I'd say to that. After it's built, they're gonna have to widen right south, right? How else are you gonna get in there? At 4th East? And please show me a high-density development in the city where there's adequate parking. Just show me one. Oh, let's go over to Ashton Apartments and see what that looks like at the mall where they're parked in Costco. Let's just drive around and see where we can find one. So a third of these apartments will be 2 and 3 bedroom. We're talking about studios, but 89 are 2 bedroom, 12 are 3 bedroom. That's 32.5%. That's a third of the places will be 2 and 3 bedroom. I don't know, I just got ran. And Gerald's right, there was no negotiation, nothing was given up. I understand the mayor's saying, I understand the risk, but litigation's interesting, and there's no guarantees. For example, maybe some of you will disagree with this, but O.J. Simpson killed his ex-wife and her boyfriend. I'm sorry, but I mean, some people might disagree with that, but I think most of the people in our country would say absolutely. But that went to litigation and he was found innocent, at least in the criminal trial, right? So litigation is interesting. Right development, they're developers. I don't know why you'd want to take on people in this neighborhood and think that you might win this battle. You've got other properties in the city. Really? Do you want to have that kind of reputation? Or do you want to say, let's work something out. Maybe we do commercial here. So State Street is definitely open for business. We really welcome commercial up and down State Street. It helps us with our tax base as citizens. So I'm strongly supportive of commercial up and down State Street. I will absolutely vote against any kind of compromise. I said that from the first. I don't criticize my fellow members of the city council. I've sat in those closed meetings with the attorneys like the rest of them. And I just think there's an issue called quality of life to me, which is a bigger issue to me than somebody threatening that we might sue, or we are suing. Okay.
Okay, I was part of the council when we did do the State Street Master Plan. And I have to tell you, the main premise of that was to protect neighborhoods from development and to move any development to State Street. I honestly promise you that was the thinking. We made it so that the most you could have, I think, was a PRD, which was seven homes to the acre. Correct me, Jason, is it 7? PRD, yeah. The idea was we did not want apartments, high density, anything in your neighborhoods. It was to protect your neighborhoods. And I'm telling you, that was the main thinking. So to move things onto State Street was where the thinking was put it there, protect the neighborhoods. Okay, I'm just telling you that's what was the thought. I am sensitive to the neighborhoods, and I would certainly encourage the developer to work. Seriously, if you want to change the plan, I think we'd be amenable to that. I am not willing, though, to risk more money on this particular lawsuit. I have weighed this, I've been in many meetings, I've thought a lot about it, so I will be voting to settle this, so thank you. That's fine, you can boo me, I have thought about it a lot. Thank you.
So this is really a difficult issue for us as a council, and for me in particular. When I first moved to Orem over 30 years ago, I lived in this neighborhood. It has wonderful historic homes, and the one thing that I have heard mentioned before, but I didn't hear it tonight, is in our quest and our emphasis and our constant chatter and talk and push from the governor and everybody else about affordable housing, this neighborhood has owner-occupied affordable housing. It is providing that for our city. So to create a neighborhood that has such a great quality of life to go along with that affordable housing is just amazing that we have that here in Orem. Having lived there, I understand the situation and the safety concerns that a high-density project would cause for this neighborhood. One of the reasons that I ran for city council was to protect Orem neighborhoods against high-density housing, high-density apartments is what I'm going to call them, because they're really not affordable housing at all. This proposed development is the definition of high-density apartments encroaching on a neighborhood. While the front of the development is on State Street,
The two exits that will be most utilized are on the back of the development and pour directly into two separate neighborhood streets. This access is invasive and dangerous. On the State Street side is the danger too. Other apartments on State Street that we have here in Orem don't have access to the neighborhoods behind them. Traffic from high-density housing should not empty into neighborhoods. I have no doubt that this development will cause safety issues as the increased traffic will expose the neighborhood children, and I've seen those neighborhood children as I've driven in the neighborhood, to increased possibilities of being struck by a car. I do believe that this development that's being proposed will reduce the quality of life and overall will increase the emotional distress for citizens, which is exactly one of the reasons that was stated in the reason for the moratorium, for the legal moratorium. Heaven forbid that the increased traffic, which this development will undoubtedly cause, will result in the injury of a child in this neighborhood. Now, just for historical context, we've talked about a little bit tonight, but I want to emphasize this. I was in a public meeting held with the neighbors for this development back in 2021. At the time, I was running for city council. Right, Logan? I met you there for the first time. At that meeting, the developer's representatives said that this was not even the development that they wanted to do, but was forced on them by the old State Street Master Plan. I wish the State Street Master Plan had never been voted into law by the previous city councils. Then this wonderful developer, I think they have good intentions, that this developer could have built the bank that they wanted. And right development, I just want to clarify, when they purchased this property, it was zoned commercial. They knew it was zoned commercial. They wanted to build commercial. I'm going to say this, but they should be a good neighbor and build commercial. Now, at this point, the city has legal exposure. The proposed agreement is an attempt to settle a lawsuit as the outcome is uncertain and could result in a worse outcome for the city and for the residents. I certainly feel a duty to protect the city and to safeguard the taxpayers' money. This is a no-win vote. Let's be perfectly clear. The reason we are faced with this difficult decision tonight is the failed State Street Master Plan and those previous city council members who supported it. And some of them are still out in the community supporting it. I wish they were here in this meeting to face you. For almost 5 years, the State Street Master Plan stifled redevelopment on State Street by limiting remodels, which was an unintended consequence that didn't respect the property rights of business owners. We talk property rights, let's look at that too. I was opposed to the State Street Master Plan when it passed in 2018. And as a resident in 2021, I helped to bring awareness to these unintended consequences of unlimited height. I could go on, I won't go in and relitigate that, but I joined the council in January of 2022. My first month on the council, we made the needed tough decisions, which we took a lot of heat for, to set in motion the repeal of the State Street Master Plan before the moratorium expired. And once again, unfortunately, because of prior city council's decision to implement the State Street Master Plan, I am forced to vote on this issue tonight. And it is truly a no-win. And that's all I have to say right now.
Thank you, Lenny, for that short speech. I called for the moratorium back in 2021, because, yes, I did see on State Street. I did vote for the State Street Master Plan back in 2015 or 18, whatever it was. But what we were sold was not what we had in the State Street Master Plan. We went to Oregon and they showed us these apartments that were 3 stories and they had commercial on the bottom. It was nice, but not 100 feet. That's garbage. So that's why we put the moratorium on State Street. The key thing is I think we need to keep the integrity of our neighborhood. And I would hope that right development would, in good faith, go and meet with the neighbors and maybe come to a solution and take their ideas. Maybe you can implement that instead of no, this is the way it is, we were 351, now we're 11, and maybe in good faith do that. I think that would speak volumes for the citizens of Orem and also the city council of the city. So my advice would be, maybe you need to regroup and meet with the neighbors in good faith, and then go from there, and then see what you can come up with. And maybe it is a development, but maybe there's a wall or something, as the mayor said, but I do not like high density on State Street. I never will. And it's been said that if you're not growing, you're dying, which I don't believe that. I think Orem is built out, and I think we're thriving. And people want to come to Orem, and businesses want to come to Orem. Why? Because we're families at USA, and we listen to the citizens. Thank you.
Do the right thing.
Does anyone have any follow-ups on any of that? Jeff, do you have anything additional?
No, thanks, Mayor.
Would someone like to make a motion to move forward? Probably would not.
I can do it.
Okay.
I move that we consider a proposed settlement agreement between Wright Development Group, the City of Orem regarding development of the property located generally at 841 South State Street, former Meadowville property.
Could I interject here? So I know that was the title of the agenda item, to consider it, but right now you'd be making a motion to either approve it or to deny it. And then if the motion is to approve it, could you possibly add and authorize the mayor to sign on behalf of the city?
Okay. I move that we approve the proposed settlement agreement between Wright Development Group and the City of Orem regarding development of the property located generally at 841 South State Street, formerly Meadow Gold property, and authorize the mayor to sign, what am I saying?
Just to sign these proposed settlements.
To sign the proposed settlement.
Second.
Jeff, would you like to start?
Aye.
Aye.
This is really one sad day for Orem City. No.
I agree, this is one sad day for Orem City. Aye.
Aye.
While I'd like to protect the city and limit its exposure, I don't feel that I can, in good conscience, vote for this development agreement and settlement. I support the moratorium. Since I've been on the council, I stood firm to support the neighborhood. I'm voting no, and emerging right development to be a good neighbor and to bring us a development that is in harmony with the current zoning of commercial zoning.
I too would hope you meet in good faith with the neighbors. I'm never a flopper, but I've flipped my decision and I'm going to vote nay.
At least we got some people that understand how we feel. I mean, I know they all do, but.
The motion passes. I would encourage Wright to seriously think about all this and think about how you're affecting the neighborhood and think it's, do the right thing. Thank you. All right.
I move that we adjourn.
Okay.
And oh, no, we have hands down, sorry.
Oh, Brett.
I'll just quickly say on behalf of city staff, heartfelt thank you to Councilmembers David Ray and Terry Peterson for your selfless service and our appreciation for tackling difficult issues, and also say in all sincerity that I know that together, due to your help, we've been able to accomplish things that we could have otherwise done. So just thank you from staff.
Thank you, Brett.
For your service.
We'll adjourn this meeting. Thank you for coming.
No, we adjourn. I'll second.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you.
Bye.